I swung up into a sitting position and put my feet on the floor. The detective, ready for action. When Peter was in film school, he broke up with his wife just after they had their only child, a boy. Peter hasn't seen or heard from his former wife or their son since, and he wants to find them. I told him that finding people is one of your best things. Are you interested? It's what I do. Capstone has offices at Paramount. I'll leave a pass at the main gate for you to see Donnie Brewster. Donnie's the head of production. Donnie, a 12-year-old running a film company. Can you be here in about 20 minutes? Let me check my calendar, she said. Ha! What calendar? Callous, you dames are callous. She made the nice laugh again and hung up. I pushed up off the couch and thought about Capstone Pictures and Peter Alan Nelsen, the big time. I was wearing a white Mickey Mouse sweatshirt with a mustard spot high on the right shoulder. Mickey would be okay, but the mustard spot was definitely unacceptable. Did I have time to race home for the tux? I looked at the Pinocchio clock. I took off the Mickey and put on a yellow and white Hawaiian beachcomber shirt, a Dan Wesson .38 caliber revolver, and a light blue waiter's jacket. Dress for success. I began to hum. There's no business like show business. I turned on the answering machine and listened to the same message I'd been running for 2 months. Elvis Cole Detective Agency. We're cheap. Maybe it was time for a change. You work for a major film company. You need something a bit more show business. Elvis Cole Detective Agency. There are no small cases, only small detectives. Hire the biggest dick in the business. I decided to leave well enough alone. I walked the 4 flights down to the parking garage, got my car, and drove east along Santa Monica Boulevard through the belly of Hollywood. It was October and the air was cool. I've got a 1966 Corvette convertible, but it wasn't so cool that I had to put up the top. It rarely was. Global warming. With the end of summer, the cars from Utah and Michigan and Delaware were gone, but the cars from Canada were arriving. Snowbirds, come down to beat the cold. At a red light on Santa Monica and La Brea, I pulled up next to a maroon Buick sedan from Alberta with a very short man and a very short woman in the front seat and 2 very short children in the rear. The man was driving and looked confused. I gave them a big smile and a wave and said, "Welcome to Los Angeles." The woman rolled up her window and locked the door. I stayed on Santa Monica to Gower, then turned right and followed Gower down past the Hollywood Cemetery to Paramount. Paramount Studios is an Olympian structure on the corner of Melrose and Gower with a beige stucco siege wall running around its perimeter. The wall's very high with a heaviness and permanence that has kept Paramount in business long after most of the other original Hollywood studios have gone. In a neighborhood marked by poverty and litter and street crime, it is free from graffiti. Maybe if you got too near the wall, thugs in chainmail poured boiling oil on you from the parapets. I rounded the corner at Melrose and tooled up to the guard at Paramount's front gate. Elvis Cole to see Donnie Brewster. The guard looked in a little file. "You the singer?" I shook my head. Elvis Presley died in 1978. The guard found a yellow slip, stuck it on my window with a piece of tape. "Not the king. That other guy. With the glasses?" "Elvis Costello? No, I'm not him either." The guard shook his head sadly. "Christ, I remember a time you said Elvis. There was only one. Probably just promoted from parapet duty." Donnie Brewster was in a 2-story earth-colored adobe building with a red tile roof and bird of paradise plants the size of dinosaurs. A receptionist led me to a secretary who showed me into a dark-paneled conference room. In the conference room were Patricia Kyle and a man in his late 30s with a sharply receding hairline and an $800 sport coat that fit him like a wet tent. What hair he had left was pulled back tight into a short ponytail. Style. Pat Kyle stood up and smiled and gave me a kiss. She'd been working on her tan since I'd last seen her, and it looked good. "Elvis Cole, this is Donnie Brewster. Donnie, Elvis Cole." Donnie Brewster gave me a moist hand and looked nervous. "Christ, where were you? I thought you'd never get here." "The pleasure is all mine." Donnie gave me Everyone's Out to Get